And welcome to TechSoup. This is the new member orientation, and we're going to answer your questions and hopefully provide the answers. I know many of you have been here a while, and so welcome to the new member orientation. I'm going to show you on the next slide how you can engage. I'm sure many of you have been to some of our webinars, but if this is your first time, here's how you participate. We would love for you to use the Q&A section to ask your questions. But if you put them in the chat, we have many team members here in the background that will be able to help you. We're going to send you the video replay because inside this slide deck, there's going to be some hyperlinks. And for many of you who've been to our webinars, you've noticed that we put our survey when you check out. So when you close this window, there's going to be a survey that pops up. Let us know what topics you would like to hear and what you thought about this survey, this webinar. I'm going to turn this over to Nick Finn, and he's going to take us in and enjoy the webinar, everybody. Over to you, Nick.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for being here today. And before we get started, I just want to give a quick shout out to Delana Zingales there. I see you are from Cleveland, Ohio. I spent some formative years in my 20s living in Cleveland, Ohio as well. Yeah, recently actually lost an early mentor of mine, Bill Burgess, who is a big deal consultant in Cleveland and did a lot of work with nonprofits. Maybe you know him. In any case, welcome, Delana, and then everybody else on the call, of course. It's great to be here with you today. My name is Nick Finn. I'm the head of global growth marketing at TechSoup, but really you can just think of that as being the guy for whom the buck stops when we're talking about outreach to all the TechSoup members around the world. And that's kind of the first thing I want to bring up is that TechSoup is not just a United States organization. We work around the entire world, supporting nonprofits and NGOs in over 200 countries with technology and services. But today's call is mainly for a US audience. That's where we advertised it. And we're going to talk about the United States site today, TechSoup.org. And so let's get into it. First, I want to say thanks to Aretha Simons, my wonderful colleague and contributor who's been running webinars at TechSoup for some time now. And then Tony Phipps and Kelly Garrett also joining us today are going to help you understand more broadly exactly how TechSoup can help you, how you can reach out to folks on TechSoup staff and get a little support when you need it. But let's start with the big picture question. What is TechSoup? Well, like most of you on this call, TechSoup is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. And that's a really important starting point because what it means is a couple of things. First of all, we understand nonprofits because we are one. We know what the struggle is like when you have more work to do than you have resources to put toward it. You're budget constrained in ways that are not always helpful. And there's no end of people coming to you and asking for support and assistance as you provide the services and programming that you support. So we understand what that's like very much. But our mission is to support other nonprofits who are working with technology to create or build a more equitable planet. It's a very lofty goal because we believe that there should be a point to all of this. And that point, in our view, is building a more equitable planet for everybody. We host a catalog online at TechSoup.org of affordable technology products for nonprofits from major brands like Microsoft, Dell, Intuit, Adobe, and many more. And let's talk about this a little bit for a second. There is a vast philanthropic marketplace around the world where corporations that make technology products have provided discounts or donations even of the products that they create for nonprofits to use, with the specific purpose of helping those nonprofits deepen their impact and do a better job delivering the programming. Now, more and more, as the world has pivoted over the last decade into subscription versions of software in particular, the big element of saving tons of money on technology, I have to say, has deflated a bit. However, what TechSoup's unique position in all of this is that we understand and know what that entire marketplace of philanthropic offers looks like. So, if your nonprofit is thinking about technology products from a particular corporation or particular tech creator, TechSoup is a great place to start to understand what offers are available to you and to be able to take advantage of them. We offer numerous services in addition to technology itself to help nonprofits manage their technology stacks. What does that mean? Well, we know that adopting technology products is just really the start of the journey around tech for nonprofits. And in fact, what's almost more important in some cases is adopting the technology fully within your nonprofit. That means training staff, implementing the tech product. It means troubleshooting it, making sure it's configured correctly. It means paying attention to whatever security risks might happen because of that tech, or if that tech is not managed properly. There's a lot of things to think about when you're implementing technology for a nonprofit beyond just simply price. TechSoup is here to help with all of those pieces, and we have a lot of different offers to help you manage those things. We also create broader educational resources to help nonprofit staff build their tech skills and expertise. And these days, a lot of that is now located in one of our membership tiers. And we'll talk more about membership later on in this conversation. But in our membership tier called Quad, Quad is a membership tier at the top of TechSoup's offers that's available to all nonprofits. It's a $200 a year membership subscription, but a year, not every month, right? And Quad is now where you find sort of the cream of the crop of TechSoup's content creation operation around technology skills and expertise. And so we'll talk more about that later as well. Finally, like many of you, we deliver grant-based programming to help civil society use technology. And so what that often is about is helping educate nonprofit staff around how a particular piece of tech works. And we work hand in hand with all sorts of different tech providers to help nonprofits understand those things. So with a quick overview of what TechSoup is in the broadest sense, I want to hit some key terms that also matter in this world of nonprofit digital technology and how to build impact and help your operations and all of that. Let's start with the term qualified. Qualified means that you've gone through a process with TechSoup to verify that your nonprofit is a 501c3 organization, right? The offers that we host and that the offers that we show to people are only available to nonprofits. And so we have to make sure that the folks taking advantage of those offers are nonprofits. That means that's how you become qualified with TechSoup. Eligibility is another term, so close to qualified and yet does not mean the same thing at all. Eligibility is more around whether your specific nonprofit is eligible for a specific offer. So some charitable offers and donation offers of technology, for instance, might be limited to just public libraries, for instance, right? And then another organization might want to take advantage of that offer, but we have to say, no, I'm sorry, you're not eligible for that. It is only for public libraries. And there are lots of small places in our catalog where that eligibility issue comes into play. Another very common eligibility screen that we have to pay attention to is also budget size, right? Very, very large nonprofits for some companies look like legitimate business opportunities, right? And so they want to work with those nonprofits directly. And that means not everybody of every budget size has access to all the offers in our catalog. Still, we have a great number of those offers, and for most of them, folks will be eligible. Civil society is a phrase that gets bandied a lot around a lot in the nonprofit sector. When we're trying to talk about this big cohesive group of people and organizations, frankly, around the world, they are the change makers, they are the do-gooders, they are the non-business, non-governmental organizations that are out there trying to build a better world, build better communities. That's civil society, and TechSoup talks about it in that way, so I just want to clarify what that term is. Then there's something you may have heard called digital transformation, which can sound imposing, but really what digital transformation is leveraging tech within your nonprofit to make things work better, right? It means operations. It could mean fundraising. It could mean communications. It's as simple as everybody having an email address at work where you can write to each other and share resources. That's digital transformation. And of course, it happens on a scale, right? But it's the idea that digital technology can really be profoundly impactful at helping your nonprofit do better. And then finally, there's a notion of digital resilience. Digital resilience is really making sure that the technology stack you're using helps you as a nonprofit to quickly adapt, respond, and continue to serve your audience during some kind of external disruption or crisis. So, right now in the United States, we've had a series of really difficult weather events, right? And we've got TechSoup staff who are distributed around the country. And I know from firsthand conversations that if you're in Florida, you have watched an amazing set of people do a lot of work to help communities recover there. Digital resilience is the act of making sure that those nonprofits are able to continue functioning when something big and threatening comes along, for instance, like a giant hurricane. Now, let's pivot towards the first of the things that I talked about, which is the product catalog. And here I'm just showing you a screenshot. It's a little dated from TechSoup.org. So that's not what TechSoup.org looks like today. There's a different header image up there. Um, but TechSoup.org is the US site where we host the largest catalog of nonprofit philanthropic offers that frankly we know of in the world. Um, you can get to that product catalog in two distinct ways. You can see up here in the navigation, it says product catalog. Down here, you can hit the browse catalog button. And let's see if I do that, I should quickly get to a, yeah, a live view of the website, right? And so here is the browse catalog button and the product catalog. And I'm just going to click through there. Give it a second. Oh, did I not click on it? Yeah, here we go. And this takes you to the catalog homepage, right? The catalog homepage gives you a quick look at some of the most popular offers from TechSoup. They are things like Microsoft Office. We have partnered with Microsoft for decades now. We are their partner of choice to build relationship with the nonprofit sector. We're a cloud service provider with Microsoft, and we can help you manage your Microsoft 365 account. We have access to window upgrades. Microsoft's AI product Copilot, I think, is entering the TechSoup catalog pretty soon, possibly with a price discount. We'll see. There's also Adobe Acrobat Pro. Norton QuickBooks, or sorry, Norton 360 Deluxe, Intuit QuickBooks here, the Windows 10 upgrade that I mentioned there. And beyond that, there's a lot more. We have a whole section on hardware that's worth calling out. And we have a whole section on services that's worth calling out. And we'll talk about those things again soon. So oops, sorry, clicked on the wrong thing there. Let's talk about Microsoft a little bit because by far it is the biggest, largest brand in the TechSoup catalog. Um, I want to say 100% of nonprofits use it, but I probably should just say something like 98% of nonprofits use Microsoft products. And as I said, we are really their partner of choice for working with the nonprofit sector. We have a lot of experienced folks who know a lot about the deep workings of Microsoft products. And sort of no matter what level your nonprofit is operating on, if you're working with Microsoft and you want help, TechSoup is definitely a place where you can go and get a lot of support. Um, in addition, like as Tony speaks a little bit later, you'll learn that we really do have some folks on staff who know a lot about that Microsoft system, and we can really help you troubleshoot that stuff. And as I said, really the core of that is now Microsoft Office or Microsoft 365, as we might call it. But there are many other offers in the TechSoup catalog as well. We're also a big partner with Adobe, who of course makes lots of great communications technology, around design in particular is what folks think of them mostly. I'm talking about the Creative Cloud offers, which are available through TechSoup. If you're a designer or communicator in a nonprofit, it's likely that you have been working with Creative Cloud. We also have a newer product from Adobe, which is Adobe Express. And that is sort of a streamlined, simplified version of the same kinds of tools you get in Creative Cloud, but it's more oriented towards something you can work with very quickly. You can work with templates. You can build out social media posts and do some pretty easy graphical things quickly, versus Creative Cloud, which is sort of like a little more time investment. Maybe you are building something that's like a more elaborate graphic design project. And then, of course, Adobe products are also PDF management products. Like there's Adobe Acrobat Pro, and then there's Acrobat Pro DC. Acrobat Pro is a legacy on-premises product, and what that really means is like it's a license that you can download to your computer, and it sits on your computer. Acrobat Pro DC instead is the cloud version where you have a subscription and you're accessing that through your web browser. But hundreds of thousands of nonprofits use Adobe every day. And if you're an Adobe user or would like to become one, TechSoup can probably help you on that path. Um, Intuit QuickBooks is another huge offer through the TechSoup catalog. It is one of the most popular things that nonprofits adopt early in their digital transformation journey, because we know that, paper and pencil systems of accounting or just doing it all in a Google spreadsheet just doesn't really stack up anymore. You really do need a proper accounting platform. And yeah, QuickBooks by far seems to be the thing that most nonprofits have really steered toward in that sense. There are many, many, many other brands in the TechSoup catalog. And I show you a portion of them here just to say that the catalog itself is worth your time to go through and look at and see if there are other things that you would be interested in. But you remember I said at the front, like even the catalog itself is evolving over time. And so we're always trying to bring you views of new offers from technology companies that are available to your nonprofit. And you can expect that that catalog will continue, to give folks the pathway to whatever the tools are that they need to take advantage of and create better impact and do better programming at their nonprofit. Now, we hit on hardware a bit, and I want to go back to that and talk about it a little bit more. If you go to that product catalog tab that I was just showing you, there's a hardware tab underneath it. TechSoup has always understood that the cost of hardware itself is a real issue for nonprofits. And then, frankly, we saw during COVID in the 2020s, not just price was an issue, but frankly, access at all, right? It became very hard for a period of time to get access to hardware. There are all sorts of problems with supply chain. When there are those kinds of problems, what does it do? Things get more expensive. TechSoup's really dedicated to trying to make sure nonprofits have access to affordable options. So we do build partnerships with big hardware providers like Dell, like Lenovo, HP, and we have access to all sorts of laptops and desktops for nonprofits. We do a lot of work with refurbished partners as well. And this is a place where TechSoup in particular really shines. We were one of the earliest, what would I call it? We were one of the earliest proponents of not simply throwing out computers that are 3 or 4 years old when people think, oh, it's just not able to handle the workload anymore. In fact, a lot of this hardware is very capable of handling modern workplace needs, both in terms of memory and processing speed. And there are refurbishers who take these used computer units, laptops and desktops, clean them, literally wipe the data, make sure there's nothing on there shouldn't be, but also, run benchmarks, make sure that these units are still operating properly. And then, it's a used computer market, and we have access to a lot of those refurbished options. They're a great way to stretch your tech budget a little bit further than it might go if you're purchasing these things at Best Buy, for instance. And now with TechSoup having led on that, and we weren't the only one, but we were one of the very first. You'll see that the refurbished computer industry is pretty large now, actually, and lots of other companies talk about that out there and their access to refurbished devices as well. In any case, if it's hardware that you're interested in, TechSoup does have a whole section on that, and we always have a steady stream of sort of I'm not going to call them off the wall, but additional hardware items that are not laptops and desktops and monitors and printers, things like mobile phones, headsets, all these smaller devices that lots of workplaces depend on or could benefit from. So definitely worth your time to take a look at some of that as well. Um, Now I want to talk about TechSoup services. As I mentioned at the top as well, adopting a technology, purchasing, paying the subscription, whatever you want to describe it at, is really only part of the equation. And for nonprofits who, in particular, are a little bit more resource constrained, sometimes it's actually the implementation of this tech that really is the hardest part. Troubleshooting it, making sure you're loading it correctly, configuring licenses correctly. That's a big issue for Microsoft products because there are a lot of options on Microsoft products, and not every layperson in a nonprofit is going to know right off the bat which licensing option they should be pivoting toward. But that's why you work with TechSoup, because we can help you pick the right licenses and make sure you're not paying more than you need to be paying, and also making sure you're not grabbing more licenses than you actually need, because there's a cost to that as well. TechSoup services have been designed as a new line of support for nonprofits who need help once they have the tech. They need support in getting it up and running properly. So let's dive into this a little bit more. In the menu item, you'll see there are a bunch of different services here. And I will say that if you check out the site in another 2 or 3 months, some of these menu items are going to change. But this is where the services stuff lives. And let's talk about what some of those really are. Oops, click through to the wrong thing. Um, Under services, you have a services overview page. It's probably the best way to quickly orient around what can I get from TechSoup in terms of support services. So let's just look at a few of the high-end things here that really matter. There's not a single nonprofit I've ever met who said to me, "Oh, I really love our website. It does everything I want it to." For most nonprofits, websites are a constant source of frustration where you're trying to get it to do something maybe it's not necessarily designed to do, or you're trying to figure out how to find the expertise to help you make changes on it, or you need to throw the whole thing out and start again from scratch. And then there's a million places in between all of those positions. We've known for some years now that running your website and getting a site to be where you need it to be takes outside help. So we provide a suite of website services. These are paid services. I want to be super clear about this. This is not engaging with TechSoup just for free services, right? They do cost money, but the group of folks working on this know nonprofits really well, and they understand what these sites need to do. They know a lot about the security issues that websites present. Nonprofits are very vulnerable on security issues often around their website, and it can be quite disastrous when things go south there. We have another line of services that are very popular, called managed IT. Managed IT is ideal for a nonprofit that has a tech stack and they really don't have anybody full time on staff to manage it. Um, Managed IT is a service through TechSoup where we basically do that managing for you. And as you can expect, it's customized and looks very different each time with each nonprofit we work with, but it's very popular. I mentioned before how QuickBooks is such a huge item for a lot of nonprofits, but of course, there's an issue if you adopt QuickBooks of how do you move all your legacy data into QuickBooks. And so we have a QuickBooks Online migration service to help support you in that process. And as you go down through this page, what you will see is loads of other services that TechSoup has put together for nonprofits that cover a variety of different topics. If you're using Google Ad Grants and you want help making that perform better, we can help you with that. Um, if your nonprofit actually does need to engage in a specific marketing effort, we can help you figure out what's a digital marketing strategy that really works for your nonprofit. Do you need to just train your staff on better cybersecurity practices so that your website doesn't get hacked again? We can help with that. Do you need help installing software, setting up HubSpot if you're a new HubSpot user, making the move to Google Analytics if you haven't finished doing that? installing Microsoft Windows, migrating to 365, setting up Salesforce. All these services and many more are the things that we really believe are the future of how we can best support nonprofits because, well, they've told us as much over time that that's where they really need the most help. Right. I want to pivot now a little bit to talk about TechSoup's membership levels because I mentioned it earlier, but I want to spend a little quality time there. Um, in the old days, I'll call it that, 10, 20 years ago, joining TechSoup was a very simple process of literally just signing up and then you're in as a TechSoup member. Um, the modern version of TechSoup is much more complex and sophisticated than that. We have three membership levels now at TechSoup. And if you haven't heard about them, and this is the first time, know that this is all very new. And so we are rolling it out to folks. Um, but we have three membership levels. The first level that costs you no money to be a member is called DIY, do it yourself. This is ideal for nonprofits who know exactly what they need in terms of technology. They just want access to the catalog and they're on their way. They have the expertise they need to do what they need to do. So that's the DIY membership. They do it themselves, and that TechSoup membership is free, right? Doesn't necessarily mean that the products in the catalog are free, by the way, just that the membership level itself is, right? The second membership level displayed on your screen here is called TechSoup Boost. Boost has been around for a little bit of time, but it's really evolving now into what I think will probably be the largest group of nonprofits in TechSoup. Boost is $99 a year for a nonprofit. $99 for the whole year, right? So, it's not an expensive proposition. What do you get in Boost? A couple of things that really matter. One is TechSoup is always in the game of finding special limited offers that are going on out there in the marketplace, or working directly with corporate partners who want to do a limited thing. Boost is where we put those offers, right? They are the place for the things outside the norm of the catalog. The second thing Boost is really starting to evolve into is the place where you can learn more about how to choose the technology that you need. So maybe you are looking for a CRM, a customer relationship management database, right? Um, and you need this CRM because you're now serving 3,000 people at your nonprofit. And it's really like you can't do this in an Excel spreadsheet anymore. You need something more sophisticated. Um, but how would you choose a CRM? Who has the time to become an expert in all the different CRM offers in the marketplace of CRMs? Which ones are even specific to nonprofits, right? Boost becomes a place where TechSoup can publish content around that and talk about, like, here are 4 CRM options that could be a good fit for your nonprofit, and do a little comparison between them and try to help guide people. There's not a ton of that content in there today, but that is the direction we're going. And I think Boost is really probably the sweet spot for most nonprofits, right? The uh, the third membership level that I mentioned earlier is Quad. Quad is $200 a year for a nonprofit. And for that, you have 10 licenses for Quad, right? 10 people at your nonprofit who could log in and look at Quad. Quad is where you really find the cream of the crop of all TechSoup's leadership thinking around big technology issues, right? If you need to go deep into technical parameters, if you need the opportunity to chat with a community of other folks who work in similar nonprofits to yours and maybe have even struggled with similar issues as you are struggling with, Quad is the space where you get that. And it's constantly building. And there's a ton of great content in there around all sorts of things: food security, how to use Adobe, and everything in between. All of these kinds of spaces where you're talking to similar nonprofits or struggling with similar tech issues. Quad is the place where you really can get that peer-to-peer knowledge transaction. And it's also a place, honestly, where you're most likely to get direct interaction with TechSoup staff. In the United States alone, we're now serving more than 200,000 nonprofits. Um, communicating with everybody constantly, person to person, is prohibitive. It's not possible when you're talking to that many people. But folks who do really need that direct interaction, Quad is the space where that can happen. So, there are a couple of final things I want to wrap up here, and then we're going to go to Kelly Garrett and Tony Phipps to talk a little bit about how to best engage with TechSoup, like on a human level. Um, we have a new feature at TechSoup called Consultant Connection that we're building up now. It's available under that services dropdown, but Consultant Connection is just a place where we're trying to give a space for nonprofits to find consultants who are particularly good at a particular thing that that nonprofit may need. So if you're looking for a consultant, you might check out Consultant Connection. Um, and then we did launch last year a service providing domain names for nonprofit websites. If that's something you're looking at, you can check on the TechSoup site for that. Now I want to bring forward my wonderful colleague Kelly Garrett from the Account Management Group or Client Services. Kelly and her team are the folks who help you manage your TechSoup account. They're not the folks that help you troubleshoot Microsoft, Adobe, Symantec, or Intuit, right? That's a separate thing, and it's a little hard to keep that firewall and understand the separation. But if you've transacted with TechSoup or you're a member of TechSoup and you have a question about like, I'm not getting this email, or I need to change the authorized agent on my account, or something's going on with my TechSoupness, Kelly and her team can help you with that. So with this, I'm going to step back and Kelly, take it away.
Thank you so much, Nick. Welcome, everybody. I've been chatting with some of you in the Q&A section here. So thank you for your questions, your interest in working with us. Feel free to keep putting stuff in there. I will try to address it while I'm talking if I'm not able to type back. And we've got a few minutes after the webinar where I'll be able to answer some questions as well. As Nick said, I am the Associate Manager of the Account Management Group for Client Services. That's just a bunch of words for the customer service team. When you reach out to TechSoup on our website, we do have live chat support available. You are working with my team. You are talking to a real live person. We do not use chatbot or AI or anything like that to work with our members. Once you get into the live chat, you will work with an actual person. There's automated messaging before that, of course, prompts and things like that to get you to support articles. But we do have a customer service team who works with you directly, whether it's about product questions, your qualification status, your eligibility, things along those lines. So you maybe will see me around if you ever reach out to us. I do help out with my team here and there. So looking forward to working with you all. Next slide, please. Perfect. So one thing I like to go over with members is making sure everyone understands where product information is, because, if you can be able to self-serve, read the product page, get all the information you need to make the informed decision that you want that product or service. We want to make sure it's nice and easy and you don't have to reach out to us for all your questions about basic functionality, features, price, things like that. So on our product page, the first place I always recommend looking is underneath the name of the product. There's always going to be a list of information. So for example, donor partner, that's the company that provided the offer for QuickBooks Online. It's Intuit. If you click on that, that will redirect you to a page where you'll get some more information about Intuit. Underneath it, you'll see the category. Category is something that you can pick from those drop downs that Nick showed us earlier in the product catalog. You'll see that on the product or in the screenshot here in the top left corner. So that shows you, what category it was in. If you're interested in other products like that, go back really quick, please, Nick. So for the category, if you're looking for, say, accounting software and you're like, I don't know if QuickBooks is the one that I want, you can click on that category. It will take you and show you all the other products related to accounting, cloud computing. You'll see the platforms listed there, product ID, and availability. things along those lines. Underneath that, there are 3 tabs of information that are kind of easy to miss sometimes since they are a bit of small print and a little bit lighter. So something to make sure is to make sure you click through all 3 tabs to review all of the information, since most of our products are not cannot be exchanged or returned once they've been fulfilled. So it's very important to make sure you're sure about the product or service you want before you check out. Next slide, please. So the middle tab is one that I highly recommend definitely reviewing. The rules, eligibility, and restrictions tab on the far right does have some information. It's usually just kind of an overview of different, policies, what the eligibility looks like. So I find that the first 2 tabs, the description and the middle tab, usually have most of the information you're looking for. For example, it talks about, can this be applied to an existing subscription? What do you do after the first year? What's the renewal process? There's a start date, things along those lines. And so you change. This one's subscription details, since this is a subscription product. If it was a on-premises product, then that would be, system requirements, things like that. So a lot of information are on these product or offer pages. And I again recommend reviewing them thoroughly to see if your questions are answered there, or there's anything that jumps out at you of like, oh, wow, that doesn't work for us, or, oh, wow, I didn't know that was a functionality. I'm excited to use this. So something to keep in mind is reviewing all of this info. Next slide, please. So another resource that we have on our website is our TechSoup support, which you access from any of the TechSoup.org pages. You just click on that help button up at the top right corner. It's next to where you log in, or if you are logged in, you'll see that circle with the outline of a person that indicates that you're logged in. So it will always be up there in that top right corner. And this is another great resource to go and see if any of your questions are answered there. We do try to keep this up to date. I think we go in there almost every day, adding things, making sure things are good to go. So it's very, very maintained, up to date. You can trust the information in there. Next slide, please. So once you click on that help page, or that help button, it will take you to support.techsoup.org. You'll see that there are 2 options. We have just the general support, which is on the right there, and then we have a Microsoft support. There's a lot of information about Microsoft out there. We do offer several kinds. There's the cloud subscriptions that are Office 365, Microsoft 365. We also have on-premises products such as the Office Suites desktop product, things along those lines. So a lot of information in both these sections. I do recommend checking out both at some point. And we do put things like anticipated next version, when we're coming out. We'll do out of stock things in there too. So like when QuickBooks Online goes out of stock, we usually have an article about that, since we have a lot of folks interested in when that's coming back and being available. Next slide, please. Once you get into these different sections, this is the support section, you will see the different topics and then the articles. The star just means that's a promoted article, so those are usually more popular. Might want to start there. And if you are looking to get in touch with us with TechSoup, I highly recommend reviewing all of the articles underneath TechSoup customer service and support. We've got a great article about making sure you receive our emails, since that is how we deliver most product and services information. It also has troubleshooting on how to connect to our live chat, since that is something that does pop up for members as different browser settings, things along those lines. So highly recommend, again, going in here and taking a look when you get a chance. Next slide, please. So as Nick has outlined earlier, TechSoup customer service is we can do account management support. We can give you basic information about the products, the services. If you're having any issues with accessing something you've already checked out with, we can usually help you find your fulfillment email that's in your TechSoup account. We can help you make, if your coupon code's expired, we can help you get a new one. But for in-depth product functionality questions, support with using the product, or say you're having issues in the system or the website where the product is hosted, that's going to need to go back to the partner. For example, Microsoft does not give us access to their systems to provide account support on Microsoft's nonprofit portal page. So we'll have folks coming to us asking us, hey, I need help. I don't know how to reset the password. It's not on our website. It's not something we're probably going to be able to assist with, but we can get you pointed in the right direction on, what partner to contact, or we might have a service such as that QuickBooks Online data migration service, which is fabulous. We'll have options for you that we can point you to, but I just want to always set that expectation that we are not IT professionals. You've seen how many partners and how many products we have, so we can't become experts on every single one of them, but we can definitely help you get to where you need to go for support, for more information, because the products are the same as what's on the commercial market. So, if you buy Office 2024 from us, it's the same Office 2024 that's available through a commercial reseller or directly from Microsoft. Next slide, please. So just want to highlight again, these are the 2 articles I would go to in our TechSoup support for figuring out, how to get in contact with us. We do have live chat support now. It was a decision that we made at the beginning of 2024 to move to live chat only. As a nonprofit ourselves, we have our own limited resources, and this was the best way we felt we could focus our resources during this time. So right now, that is the option. If you are experiencing an issue where you're not seeing the help button, you're not seeing a live chat option, you really want to make sure you go and do all of the troubleshooting in the unable to access TechSoup customer service live chat article. It's almost always a browser issue, or it's, using a mobile device instead of a desktop laptop or something like that, or it's hours of operation. You always want to make sure are we looking at the right time zone? We are located on the West Coast. Our time is around Pacific time. We do have closures that occur. We are not open 24/7. We're not open on the weekends. So something to keep in mind is those hours of operation, and then making sure you do all of the troubleshooting, and that resolves 99% of the time that resolves the issues for members that I've had report issues with finding live chat. Next slide, please. This was just a slide just to kind of remind folks, most important thing is enabling cookies on our website. It's going to make sure that our website functions properly. You will not be able to see or access the live chat or the help bubble if you do not accept all of our cookies. So you might want to look up your instructions for the browser you're using to ensure that cookies are enabled so that you can navigate everything smoothly. Next slide, please. And that is it for my presentation. I really appreciate everybody joining us today. I think this is a fabulous way to get started with TechSoup, or even if you're just been around for a while and want a refresher. Looking forward to working with you in the future, and please reach out to us with our live chat if you have any questions, comments, or concerns.
Great. Thank you so much, Kelly. And now please meet our other esteemed colleague, Tony Phipps, who is going to touch on a different group of folks at TechSoup. So this is customer success, and this is different, right? Instead of managing your TechSoup account, customer success are the folks who are going to help you get the most out of the things you got from TechSoup. I'll just leave it there.
Thanks, Nick. And thank you, everybody. Glad to be here. As Nick shared, I am one of 12 with the customer success team here at TechSoup. And as you can see here, there's kind of some bullet points as the various things we do. My colleague Kevin and I are kind of the technical side of things, and we have both been doing this for a while, so we can definitely, between the 2 of us, navigate through most things. With technology, as you know, it continues to grow and change, so we are also working on certifications. We're continuing to learn more about what the nonprofit needs are and what we're hearing, and just the ability to share that with you. We want to meet you where you're at. I meet with people all the time, both small and large, and anything in between. So between that, we hope to either assess or just help you maybe save money with budgeting. So there's just various ways that we can support you. As you've probably heard through this whole webinar, that Microsoft is a biggie, and we know that's not easy. So we are here as that olive branch to, help you navigate which subscription to use. There's so many different layers to it. There could be security or compliance demands or requirements that your organization has. So we can help you with that. Again, there's so many different options with Microsoft, and it can definitely be overwhelming at times. So we are here to help you navigate that. We try to meet with organizations 1 to 2 times a year. As Nick kind of shared about Quad, we can ramp that up to 12 engagements. So basically one a month. So if you're a part of that Quad community space, which I highly recommend as well. I'm actually uploading Microsoft content in there weekly. So we actually have a whole Microsoft Cloud channel on there that really helps you navigate some things. And again, talk to someone like us as well. So anyways, with that, I will make sure you get my contact information. And we just look forward to meeting these organizations where you're at, and hopefully remove some of that anxiety and just let you focus on your mission. So with that, I'll pass it back over to Nick.
Great. Thank you, Tony, very much. And thank you to Kelly. And that really brings us to the end of the deck and presentation. But I do want to just end on this final note. Obviously, there's so much money wrapped up in technology. There is no shortage of technology companies and players out there in the private sector who are, very much into getting out products and putting products in place and letting people try things out and test them. TechSoup is very different though, because we are not one of those for-profit companies, right? We are, like you, a nonprofit. And the whole point of our existence is to help you achieve your mission, make impact, deliver programming, serve your community, do the things that is your nonprofit's mission. But we know that technology can be a very powerful tool in that process, and that it's extremely difficult to manage it. And so we're here to support you from that perspective. With that, thank you very much for spending some time with us today. Thanks for taking the role of being somebody who's working in your own community to build positive change. We look forward to seeing you on the TechSoup site, maybe interacting with some folks in the Quad space. As Aretha said, you will get a follow-up email after this webinar with a copy of the deck. There are live links in there. You'll be able to click through. And just remember, this technology marketplace is incredibly dynamic. Things are moving and shifting every day. So part of what we're trying to do is stay on top of it all on your behalf, and so that we can help guide you in the ways that are helpful. So with that, I bid all of you adieu. Thanks. Have a great day, and we will see you all online.